Alright, welcome back to Lenz Comic Corner, classic lesser known classics. This is episode number 3320 and episode number 3214. Got two very beautiful female characters. Basically, both books written by women. One who I met this past week. I actually met her, oh my gosh, basically, it's been 2 weeks ago now. We have the newest volume released for Poison Ivy. And you're thinking, Nick, did you just get this from Comic-Con? Yes, I did. Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see it there, especially since there was a Books A Million booth there. So I figured, I paid the booth visit, and there it is. A Poison Ivy book. And I believe this is the most recent one released. This book collects issues 25-30 of this series. I talked to Jules a little about this series when I met her. Like, I was basically mentioned, I was surprised how long this book has been going on for. It's been on for almost 4 years now. And, like, I can tell she's very happy with this series, how it's turned out. Because, who would have thought basically Poison Ivy lasts as long as it did? Like, I think, according to her, this book was supposed to last, it should be a 6 years limited series, but was probably extended to an ongoing due to the fact it's probably a really good seller for DC Comics. Similar what happened with Green Arrow, where that was extended because of sales. That was simply the reason for it. So this book contains issue 25-30 of Poison Ivy. The main writer of this book, of course, is G. Wilson. The other writers for the issue, of course, there's 25 in here, is Jen Stutter, Grace Ellis, Gretchen Flecker Martin, and Dan Walters. Artwork is by Marco Takara, Haney, Brian Level, Danny, and Agan Uten. The cover art is Jessica Fong. So, starting off with issue 25. By the way, with this particular book here, it's out of last year. So, we start out with the rewinding stuff. So basically we're in Slaughter Swamp, which, a little fun fact about this place, this is where Cyrus Gold, aka Solomon Grundy, where he was killed and dumped. Yep. And those of you curious, do we see Mr. Solomon Grundy in this book? Not really, no. He is not here in this book at all. So we just have Ivy waking up and Killer Croc in her place with basically her co-worker from our place, Spirit People working. We have Harley Quinn paying a visit, and of course these two make out, of course. Yeah, basically Ivy is in a love triangle where basically she's dating two women, not only Harley Quinn obviously, but also her girlfriend Jeannie. So then we have this short story here where Gotham years we have Batman. This of course is Gina Sutter. Yes, and I love the artwork. Yeah, the artwork is really good here. So yeah. So, the whole thing with Ivy, this is like her in the past. Her getting this weird Guck stuff. Her really wanting to kiss Batman for some reason. It just basically stuff related to her. Really good here. Then we have Mushroom Hunters, which is just... So, that's just the other stories here are really quick. So, the Ivy and Batman one, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pages. And that's Grace Ellis. Then we have the Roots and Handbag. This is a great Fletcher. This is mostly put a Killer Croc story. Yep, Killer Croc. And that was very brief. Then we have the Walter story, where it just focus on some random guy who appeared for this one short story who apparently saw Ivy once. And then we come back to the main story, and which is very brief. And then we move on to the very next issue, chapter 26, where we have Janet going out shopping, and I have this guy passing by. Yep. Ivy does her thing, puts on this outfit. Actually, it smells like plants. She just grows it, taking her own clothes off. Then we have more stuff with Janet here. Then we have Ivy going to Mushroomville. Yes, Mushroomville. There's also this weird cult who thinks basically she's the boss. And she's like, no, I have nothing to do with this group at all. Yeah, so, of this eco-terrorist group called Green Knight. Yeah, they think basically she's the leader. And she's not. No, she isn't. Batman shows up, it's like, look at with it anyone. I had nothing with the grocery bombing. You got the wrong eco-terrorist. Bull, no skill damage. I swear to you, it wasn't me. Why would I lie? I'm not ashamed of what I do. Have I done any vomit of any of my so-called crimes? No. But why would you believe you're wrong? I have no idea. Maybe I got a fan club. So basically, she's hanging out like. So basically, she finds out who's responsible for this. Basically, there's also someone called the Disciple, and people apparently worship her. There's also this thing here. They also develop a subplot where Killer Croc sleeps with Janet. Yeah, he sleeps with her just because she wants to. So, yeah. Ivy definitely... Then we have this weird thing where we think it's Swamp Thing she runs into, but that's not Swamp Thing. Yep. Oh, by the way, does Ivy know about Janet and Croc? Not really, no. So... Then she goes to Seattle, of all places. Yes, Seattle, to find out who the heck is responsible for it. And, yeah, she does eventually find out. So the person in charge is, they're very disciple. Turns out to be the James Kennedy character, the gardener. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I'm glad G. Will Wilson didn't make it some random person like, it was a fan. At least it's somebody she has history with. Oh, what did she do with me to like stick a name? And then of course basically it's like a special moment. Yeah, panic and he'll try to kill her. It's like then of course Ivy decides to randomly kiss her. But they used to say she was actually her first girlfriend. It was revealed by Ivy, Harley. Then we have the giant plant man again. Who I think is supposed to be Swamp Thing. Given the fact of the eyes, it probably is Swamp Thing. Let me take a look here and see if this actually is Swamp Thing. Given this creature's size, I would not be surprised if this is frickin' Swamp Thing. But it seemed interesting, though, that Ivy would counsel the gardener again. I think the last time the gardener ever appeared was actually in her own one-shot as a tie-in to Fear State. Yep, that was last time I can think if she ever appeared. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm just gonna verify this guy. I'm looking at this purse creature. Like this has gotta be freaking Swamp Thing. I'm just trying to find out this is... It could be Jason Woodrow. That's possible. So it's unknown marsh... No, that can't be it. So this is a creature that represents the Parliament of Trees. Bog Venus. Yep, who they completely changed the character. This person was the creation of Alan Moore. Yes, and they brought the character back here for reasons. So, did you kind of resolve the storyline pretty quickly? And of course, Janet missing Ivy, and of course, it calls over her, and then this creature shows up. And then, for some weird reason, the comic gets to turn upside down, where of course Janet reunites with Ivy, and that's it. Is this the end of the book? No. The series is not over yet. Not by a long shot. It's quite interesting the fact that they brought in a character from Swamp Thing in this book. Yes. Now, Janet herself basically has been in the book since issue 1. Even though she made a debut in an anniversary edition book, but she's generally been in pretty much like every single issue of this whole series so far. Excuse me. She was even in the most recent issue that just came out this month. Oh yeah, definitely. Bella Garden is interesting. I'm not sure exactly, because here's the weird thing. Like, last time I remember seeing it was actually in the Secret Files one-shot. Though, yeah, she did pop up in Catwoman. But that was a Fair State tie-in. But I think the last time she appeared was actually in her own one-shot. Yes. Let's see. It may have been, let's see, November 30th. So, her last known appearance. So, she apparently been appearing behind the scenes since issue 2. Yeah. So, I thought it was last scene. So, apparently she had returned part of that. It was kind of interesting. It was like, I'm guessing G. Willow Wilson decided to use her in the book because she has a history with Ivy. The only character who has not appeared in the series yet, and she's a friend of Ivy's, Harley has appeared in a lot of the series. She's mostly put just a recurring character in the book. But she's not like a main character. Oh no. As for Croc, has been most of the issues. Yes, he has. Harley has been in not exactly every single issue per se, but in a good chunk of the series. But of course, she doesn't need to appear in every single issue of the series. The reason being, because she has her own solo book. Yeah. It's all because she has her own solo book that her appearing in the whole series, her appearing every issue, it's not very necessary. It's mostly put, basically, the purpose of her being here because just my people, hey, let's just have her in the book because she dates Ivy. So she was initially in. She's not basically she's not in all the issues per se, no. But she was definitely in the first 4 straight issues. She was issues 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 22 to 25. After 25, not sitting into the most recent issue of the series, which was issue 35. There is a one-shot that was released last year, which DC, for some weird reason, did not put this in the trade, and that was Poison Ivy, Swamp Thing, Feral Trees. I would have thought they would have, but they did not, clearly. Not really sure why. You would think they would basically throw this one-shot in there, but they just didn't. Last time I viewed was Origin of Species. Let's see. Yeah, Origin Species was the last trade I reviewed. But still, it's a damn good series. I enjoy it. Next up, I get that roughly 9. Next up we have is, well, the first two trades of this short-lived title. Unlike Poison Ivy, where that's publishing, this just ended. Actually, I think it's going to end after only 10 issues. This is collecting the first 5 issues of Psylocke Volume 2. This is Psylocke Volume 1, Guardian. Written by Alyssa Wong. And it's basically Marvel's trend with this writer. Where like every single book this one works on, except for one, all last 10 issues. The reason for it, I don't know. It's like the only book that she's written that's lasted more than 10 issues is Dr. Aphra. You're like, really? That book lasted longer? Yeah, she has a comic Kelly Thompson, where like every book that she works on doesn't last very long. And it's not the writer's fault. It just, at times, just too many books on shelves. When I initially heard that this book was getting ongoing, I'm like, okay, let's get there a book. I'm like, good idea. I would have thought basically a miniseries. I would not expect it ongoing. So, mostly, but like I said, Alyssa Wong basically is the writer, with Vinicio Carrera. This basically all the issues by issue 4. 4 is done by Moses Alaglu. So, by the way, this is not Betsy Braddock in this book. The first volume was Betsy. This volume it's not. Nope, this is Kanan, the assassin who was once sent to kill Betsy. And those of you curious, did Betsy have another book besides the first volume of Psylocke? She's actually had three books of her own, 2 solo books, and a team-up book with Angel. By the way, Betsy is currently dating Rachel Gray. Yep. Now, I actually did point out my video related to this when they revealed, that Rachel Summers, they made her into a lesbian for some reason, and have her date Psylocke. In the case of Rachel and a woman, this was a bit out of nowhere. For Betsy, this is not out of nowhere. Because, I don't know if anybody's ever basically said, Tina Howard just outed Psylocke as bisexual. When in actuality, that was not the case. Nope, Tina Howard had nothing to do with that. She just brought back an old concept that was virtually ignored by other writers. A concept that was introduced by a writer who doesn't work at Marvel anymore. That writer being Sam Humphries, where she slept Phantomix, and then she slept with Lady Phantomix, who is Phantomix's sister. It's kind of weird. Yeah, it was a story that wasn't really followed up with at all. Lady Phantomix herself has never really appeared since then. Dark Phantomix has appeared like maybe once since that issue came out. This was back in like 2012, I think it was. So, we started off with, by the way, this is basically Psylocke with Cyclops X-Men at the factory. So, Psylocke comes home from mission. By the way, the X-Men we see here are ID, Cyclops, Juggernaut, Quintire, and Magic. So, the way, like, Flight almost canceled Blizzard. So, it's revealed that she was fighting on California, and because apparently she has a sleep, so she's basically, so instead of going on her mission, like basically puts her on leave. And she said, people are killing us. They took a crow from us, and it wasn't enough for them. Never enough for the mutants to eradicate everyone on the planet. You need to discover mission. That was the last time we slept. So, then she's at home, sent to former scalp hunter John Greycrow, where they proceed to, well, they just sleep together. Well, their relationship. This actually was a relationship that was established by Zeb Wells. And it was a relationship that I think a lot of people can basically agree with. This was perfectly fine. Yes, it was something he established, and surprisingly, this stuck after Helion's wrapped up, because that's when these two became a couple. And it was actually continued in the pages of Marauders Volume 2, where she joined the roster for some weird reason. That ran lasted for 12 issues, written by Steve Lane, and then she gets this book here. Yep, and we get past, like, where apparently she worked for the Hand, and then she goes undercover. They also introduce this brand new character who is in this book here, of course, Imitation. This will do. And it's just basically like a liar, like buying for free. And she goes wearing this, go to this auction because mutants being auctioned off, so basically kids, because they were kidnapped, so. And of course, Psylocke proceeds to, like, I'll take them all. Perfect, so that'll be 200, done. Here it is. And she proceeds to basically take out the AIM agents, save the kids, of course. And of course, scalp hunt. And of course, we have their guards basically come in. And then we have, get this, so the people who run this auction apparently decided to hire the Ravengers. And they bring in Donald Pierce. A little fun fact about this character. Did you know this character is named after Donald Pierce? Donald Pleasance. I think it was Donald Sutherland. Yes, that's who he's named after. Really cool the fact they threw this guy in here. It's been a while. I was surprised. At one point, this guy was killed by Cyclops or something coming, and then he just randomly came back. Well, here's the reason why they would come back. Donald Pierce is a freaking cyborg. Drop this stuff, but nope. And of course, they got the Ravengers, like, oh yeah, lots of blood. And then, of course, despite with the Gallivan in Arizona, then, of course, she brings the kids to the factory. We see Beast. By the way, not the same Beast from X-Men 1. This actually is a clone. I like, say, the factory, and then, of course, basically her behind-the-scenes person. And then she proceeds to pay a visit to Shinobi Shaw, who, for some reason, the writer. Now, here's the weird thing related to this guy. So, it's like, he's living off his father's money. You think Henry Leland's money. Nope. Sebastian Shaw. So, the retcon here, the retcon that was established, I think it was in Marauders, established by Sebastian Shaw, has been seemingly in the book based on a dialogue, but ignored because, they established, his father, and of course, you gotta go to this club called the Cavalier Club. Also, Shinobi Shaw really wants to sleep with Psylocke. So, like, he basically is, like, lusting after her because she's hot. Of course, she rescues more kids, of course. And Shinobi goes with her. And then she goes home and finds, oh crap, John Craycrow's arm being pinned to the wall by butterflies. And that was the end of issue 2. Then, of course, she takes up more people. Then she goes see, basically, a boyfriend. He's perfectly fine until he gets his arm chopped off. So, John Craycrow has a healing factor somehow. So, he gets a brief cybernetic hand, then he gets rid of it. It was made for him by Beast. And then, of course, he goes with her to confront Shinobi. And she finds it embarrassing that two guys are fighting over her. I'm like, the fighting over a beautiful woman. If she finds it embarrassing, I would think she basically would like it. And of course, he was suspected of chopping the arm, but nope, it was not Shinobi, it was somebody else. Now this is where basically they ignore the retcon established in the Crow books, where you have Shinobi referred to Sebastian Shaw as his father. Now, it was established in the Krakoa books that his father was not Sebastian Shaw, despite the fact taking the last name. It was Henry Leland. As for why he did it, well, it's almost like the retcon here is like just virtually ignored. Like, His father is Sebastian's child. They're ignoring the Kakar retcon here in this Psylocke issue. And then they go see a guy called the Taxidermist, where she basically breaks his place. And we see all this stuff here. And then she goes a little further in his weird museum while slicing up robots. One of whom looks like maybe someone from Brute Force. And then she sees Ravagey, which was her previous code name that she went under when she was an assassin. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Then, of course, they see, like, dead mutants here. Who these people are, I don't know. And then she gets offended about it, and then comes a scene I was not really a big fan of seeing here, and that was, well, Psylocke being pinned to a wall like this. Yeah. I'm never a big fan of seeing that at all. It just looks creepy. Yeah. And then, of course, there's things like in their hands. It's like, he apparently he's a Psylocke fan, because at one point he brings in basically the Jim Lee costume. Even the 80s costume here. So, talk about assassin, and like then she breaks out, fights Taxidermist, and she apparently beats him. Actually, she doesn't kill him, she just basically allows him to live. Then Psylocke is basically walking back to the X-Men. And then, of course, basically looks in the mirror, and then we see Ravagey basically is in her body, basically haunting her. What the heck this is not revealed a little bit later. Excuse me. But all in all, this was really good. I really enjoy these two books. It's a shame, basically, in the case of Psylocke, it just ended after only 10 issues. I mean, it's not a terrible book, per se. It's just that, well, it's that stupid, I think what one people in charge of Marvel says, this be lucky you have 10 issues. And that may have been what happened here. It's like, there we go. Because I'm about to find out whether when this revelation happens. Like, I read this book, and when I saw that scene with the whole thing of Sebastian Shaw and Seppi Shaw, because the retcon, and I think it was Marauders, I think this happened, where, Shelby Shaw was actually Harry Leland's son, not Sebastian's son. This book kind of ignores that and just reestablishes Sebastian as his father. As for the reason for this, I don't know. Oh, the guy, his name is Davin Diego. He's basically kind of her oracle. That's pretty much the purpose of him. He's basically her eyes and ears in the field while she's acting like a field agent. Which seems like a very common trope for comics that they love doing this particular thing. Okay, here it is. It's slowly coming up here. So yeah, it was established in Marauder 26, which was the penultimate issue of Volume 1 of the series. Yeah. Yeah, his appearance in this book, like, unless you but like, the thing is, Shinobi Shaw is not that big of a character in comics. Well, in the case of X-Men books, I mean, here's the thing about him. I mean, people do know about his father. Yeah, his adopted father, per se, yes. Sebastian Shaw, the Black King at the Hellfire Club. Been in since practically the beginning. Well, except for some points in the book. Yeah. Yeah, so in the case of Shinobi Shaw, after issue 3, now by the way, when he last appeared prior to this book, the guy last appeared in issue 33 of X-Men Volume 6, which was the third to last issue of that volume. And then he's appearing here not long after that. So there actually was a significant period of time. Oh, did you also know at one point Shinobi Shaw was dead? Yeah, he was dead. He was killed by the man he thought was actually his father. And then he randomly shows up at the start of Nerosha. This was 15 years ago. So, it was in April of last year when they had his previous appearance. So, it took a bit of time. And then he just pops up in this book. And he appears like in the third to last issue. And that was the last anybody saw of him. I don't know. Maybe Alyssa Wong was planning to make him a recurring character in the book. But that clearly didn't happen. No, it did not. As for the reason for it, I don't really know exactly the reason why. Probably because the book didn't sell very well. Probably. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe to notifications. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Later. Bye.